sports all plays. Yeah. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're out in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Hard sports all plays. Yeah.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to Gonzo the Judge Sports Talk, Thursday, August 17th, 2023. I'm Gonzo, joined by the Sports Judge. How's it going, man?
That's me. What's going on, Gonzo, man? Hey, I came home to an ant invasion in my house today. And remember, I had this problem a year ago. This time, they were all over the floor in the family room. You know, hey, look, I just want to say that I appreciate their grind and their hustle, because the worker ants, they go out to find food resources and they take that food back to their colony. So you got to appreciate the grind and the hustle, just not in my house. Get out of my house. I came home, mopped the floors, did everything I needed to do. I sprayed. And you know what? I sprayed the perimeters of our house a few days ago. I sprayed outside. I sprayed inside, and them little suckers still work their way in the house. Crazy. But what's going on, Gonzo? I'm feeling good. I can't complain.
Oh, that's not too bad, man. Really can't complain. It can always be worse. So don't do you no good to complain. Football's only about 20 days away from regular season kicking off. So that's always a good thing. Ready for some football. College football's less than that. I think we're what, 11?
I think we waited long enough.
We're like 10 or 11 days away from college football starting back up. So it's should be a fun time of the season coming up.
Oh yeah, it's always fun. I think most of America waits eagerly for football to return, and football is back, ladies and gentlemen. It's back. It's America's prominent sport. It's a sport that most of us tune into, that we like to watch, especially women. I mean, if you do your homework and you do the research, it's the most watched sport among women. Women like football. I mean, it's a great sport. It's clearly the best sport here in America.
Yeah, it's the most popular sport in America, not just among women, not among everybody. I mean, if you look at like TV ratings, it's like every NFL game is like the number one rated TV show.
Yep.
Every week. So I mean, it's a big thing here. Oh yeah.
Football is definitely on a different level than the other sports we also seem to be enamored with, like, of course, the NBA. MLB. I mean, MLB is probably the least watched sport.
Which
hockey as well.
I agree with you, but MLB's numbers this year are up from what they had been last couple of years.
probably because of the rule changes that have sped up the game, like we talked about the other night.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that has a lot to do with it.
But
I agree.
once before, baseball, if you remember, baseball was America's pastime. It was at one time the most revered sport in America,
Yeah,
the
it's
most popular sport in America. And I think this new commissioner, well, he's been the commissioner for a while now, Rob Manfred, and we seem to hate the guy. I mean, a lot of us despise him, but I think he is trying his hardest as a commissioner to find ways to reinvent the game of baseball so baseball can be popularized again.
well, if you ever since the strike back in the '90s, baseball hasn't been the same as a TV product. I remember growing up, there was all. I mean, it didn't matter if I went to my grandparents' house or a buddy's house, where you went. It seemed like baseball was on TV. Don't get me wrong; during football season, NFL was on. I mean, it just seemed like everybody watched baseball. Well, then and now, and then it got after that strike, a lot of people got soured on baseball, and that was one reason why baseball never really tried to shut down steroids back then when the home run chase was going on, because it was bringing baseball back after the strike. It was getting people to watch baseball again.
Oh yes, I
And,
agree. Sammy
and
Sosa and Mark McGwire saved baseball.
it really helped get baseball back. And then now, and then it started going down some because now everybody's so busy, and us as humans, our attention spans are just terrible that we're not going to sit down and watch a 3.5, 4 hour baseball game. I mean, I will, especially if it's a team like the Reds, but not just just a random game. I really didn't anymore. And
No, but with our mobile devices, what we will do is we will go to YouTube or we will go on our TikTok and we will pull up a video and watch Bobby Witt Jr. or watch Mookie Betts make a spectacular play. Maybe Mookie Betts makes this diving play in right, and we go nuts over the highlight reel. I mean, that's what we constantly do. I think, like you said, it's our attention span. We like
especially
to
with
see the amazing plays.
especially with the younger generation, it's all because everybody's on the go, like you said now. And now, because back when someone you was growing up too, but especially when I was growing up, we didn't have. I mean, there wasn't no phones. There wasn't the internet where you could just get on and see the highlight. You had to watch it on TV or wait till Sports Center came on. That was the only time you could see highlights. It wasn't. We didn't have a device that we could hold in our hands and see highlights a second after they happen. I mean,
Right.
hell, something happens now within 2 minutes. It's online somewhere and you can see it. It used
Exactly.
to not be like that.
Right. So now it's accessible. It's there for our viewership. We can check out any video at any time and we can go, ooh, and wow, what a web gem. That was an amazing play, a sensational diving catch, a sensational leaping grab at the wall, and you could watch it repeatedly on your phones. Yeah, this stuff is easy access now.
And that's one thing that hurt ESPN as well, is because everybody used to rely on Sports Center, and that's why Sports Center got so big. And I think that's why Sports Center, not saying this that people still don't watch it, but not as many people watch it as they did back then, because now we can get everything on our phones. Back then, that's how you saw like games that you didn't get in your market. That's how you saw highlights of them, or if you missed the game, that's how you might get to see highlights. Now, if you watch ESPN, even after like NFL weekend, you don't see highlights like you used to because everybody's already seen them. So now they try to fill it in with more people's opinions and stuff than just like the sports highlights like it used to be back in the day, which they had to adapt because of that, but because of the accessibility we have now to anything. I mean, you can NFL has the NFL Plus now. You can watch any game. If you paid for the subscription, you can watch any game you want on your phone.
Right. Yes. I mean, you have the mobile device in front of you. You can subscribe to any of those platforms or any of those streaming services and get the game and get in on all the action. It's right there in front of you. So yeah, it is a different time. It's easy to get any game you want from any market, basically. You could watch your favorite team if you live across the country, which is pretty cool.
Hey, how's it going?
That's why the All-Star games don't matter anymore. Like, the All-Star games are so irrelevant now. Like, nobody cares because the whole point of an All-Star game, why we even had All-Star games, is because, well, back then, we didn't get as many games on our local TV stations. We were only given one game once a week. That came on local TV. That's the game you watch. If you didn't live in a certain market, you didn't get certain teams. And the All-Star game was put into play so fans across the country get a chance to see other star players from other teams in different markets, because we didn't have all this technology that we have now where you can, subscribe to a streaming app and watch just about any player on any team. And you can kind of get to know the player a bit more, get familiar with the player, because everything is right there in front of your eyes. Everything is right there. You can read about this player. You can get so much information on the player now. It wasn't like that, let's say, 50 or 60 years ago. It's just totally different time in the sports world.
Jay Ness said soccer. I think he was talking about, when we was talking about most watched sports, soccer worldwide is probably the most watched sport worldwide.
It is.
I just can't. I'll be honest with you, I haven't been able to really get into it. I've been trying to watch more of it, but it seems like every game I watch, there's no goal scored, and I just watch. Now, if you could I love the penalty kicks. If it was just all penalty kicks, I'd probably watch it a lot more, because that part is exciting. But it seems like the games I watch are just kicking the ball back and forth. Nobody's scoring any goals, and it's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to get into it.
It's widely the most respected sport globally, because every country plays soccer. Every country participates in soccer, and also soccer is growing in the U.S. There's a lot of young kids growing up in families where they are introduced to playing soccer. So a lot of young kids, recreational sports, and this youth, and now these younger kids, they're choosing soccer, and that's the sport that they are growing up playing now.
Oh no, I agree 100%. I just haven't.
But professionally, and I'm just going to keep it real, it will never be on the same level as the NFL, the NBA, or the MLB. Not in our country. I feel like the MLS. I feel like the MLS is a league that a lot of people, and I'm not here to offend anyone, but I don't think a lot of people care about the MLS.
Well, I don't know if people don't care. I think for a lot of people, it's hard to find on TV. It's hard to find on TV. A lot of people don't know where to watch it at. I mean, because I'm not a big soccer fan, but I couldn't tell you what channels have MLS on. But
could that be
reason
marketing?
I think you're going to see soccer. Soccer is getting more popular here in the United States. I'm not saying it's going to ever pass up the NFL, but I think it can make a push with the NBA, just because, like you said a few minutes ago, a lot more kids are growing up playing soccer now than what they used to. And I've noticed that here in Indiana. I mean, when I was younger, you didn't see a whole lot of people playing soccer. You saw some, but most kids basketball or baseball, football. But now, man, it seems like all my friends' kids play soccer. Some of them play football as well, but it seems like almost everybody's in soccer, even if they do basketball or football or other sports. But soccer's really so here, even like in the Midwest and Indiana, you see a lot more people playing soccer. So I think the sport's going to continue to grow here in the U.S.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to continue to make its mark as it has done, because you're going to have more kids pursuing the sport. You're going to have more kids trying out for soccer, and it seems like the sport that has attracted our youth, and a lot of people now are playing soccer. So I definitely
Yes,
agree
they
with you
are.
there.
Well, what do you think? What do you think about this? You mentioned it before the show, so I'll let you go ahead and start with it with Wander Franco. What do you think about this situation that he's found himself in, and looking like he might be out of the MLB maybe for good?
Oh man, Wander Franco might have ruined his entire career. It's unfortunate for someone as talented as him, um, and it would be a terrible waste of talent if his career is cut short due to poor choices. Um, Franco is being investigated by a specialized unit in the Dominican Republic, a report says. It's an investigation into his alleged relationship with a minor in the Dominican Republic. Um, it's a story that gives you the chills. Um, it's a story that is horrifying in a sense that it kind of put a different perspective on things. Um, and as a girl dad, someone who is a dad to a little girl, um, it upsets you. It has you um, feeling a bit angry to know that not just a professional athlete, but a human being himself has allegedly had a relationship with an underage female, with a minor. This stuff is taken seriously. Um, this is this is one of those stories that you never want to hear about, because the first thing you think about if you are a dad is your daughter, and if you, especially if you're raising a girl, that's the first thing that comes to mind. And I think everyone feels that way about this story. I know the Rays have put him on the restricted list Monday, a day after he was accused of an inappropriate relationship on social media. They have taken this seriously. I'm sure that they're going to cooperate with the investigation, and we will learn more as time goes. Now, a prosecutor told the AP he has not had contact with MLB executives or U.S. authorities about the case. But it's going to be interesting to see how all of this play out. Now, I believe next week we might be able to have more. We might be able to get more information without kind of getting into the investigation, because I think we're not going to get a lot of information right as of right now because of the investigation. But Franco's status appears unlikely. And I mean, this is if it's true, he deserves to face the consequences. If this is true, if he did have sexual contact with a minor, then he deserves to be prosecuted for that. Because that is a serious crime, and that is something that I don't condone, or I don't think any person, any sane, rational person, condones that type of behavior. Of course, Franco denies the accusations. Rarely does a person admit to their wrongdoing, even if they know they are in the wrong. But we just have to wait and see how this all plays out. But if this is true, it's just unbelievably sad because we're talking about a great player, a player that has been an important piece to this Rays organization that has a team that got off to a very, very fast start to begin the season until the second half of the season. And then they kind of took a turn there, looking to get back on track. But Franco is the guy that is a big part of their future. And now this story comes out, and I mean, this can spell doom for a man who has so much promise, who the Rays obviously believed in because they gave him a big contract not too long ago. But it's just a sad story, and it's tough to digest if you're a Rays fan or if you're a baseball fan who has watched this guy play and seen what he can do on the baseball diamond.
Oh yeah, and if what alleged turns out to be true, I don't think we'll see him back in Major League Baseball, and I think that's the right decision. I just don't understand how you even get involved with especially a guy like him that with being a superstar and everything you have going on. How you get involved with, because I think allegedly it was like a 14-year-old. I mean, that's just beyond my belief because I just don't understand how that happens. I don't understand why any man would do that, let alone a guy like with him, like being a superstar. I mean, hell, you would think he could have almost any pick of a woman that he wanted. Why do you have to go with a kid? You know what I mean?
Right.
And like you said, there's no room for that in our society. So
there's no room for that.
If what alleged is true, I really doubt that we'll see him back in the major leagues.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's no place for that in the game of baseball. There's no place for that in society. I mean, a 14-year-old, that's not normal for a grown man to have to be attracted sexually to a 14-year-old girl. That's alarming. That I don't know. That to me says a lot about Franco and who he is. If all of this is true, that is an obvious sickness. That is a sickness. It could be a power thing. It could be the fact that he just doesn't have the morals for a young person. I don't know. It could be. I can't get inside the guy's head to tell you what it really is, but I do know that it is a sickness for a grown man to have that type of interaction with a 14-year-old. I mean, this is just unacceptable. It's an inappropriate relationship, you know. And you've had a series of viral social media posts from Sunday alleging that Franco did have an inappropriate relationship with a minor. So, I mean, this is crazy. You know, there was a video that I believe is no longer available on Franco's account. And the club was unaware that the video was being recorded until they saw it on social media, the sources said. Now, see, that's something to pay attention to as well, because even though the club was unaware and had no knowledge of this, how do we know that's true? What if the Rays didn't cover it up? I'm not accusing them of anything, but I'm just saying, more dirt can come out on this story. I mean, because we're still trying to gather the facts, and we're still trying to figure out things here on this story. And sometimes when stories come out like this, and when they're so convoluted, you kind of have to sit back and reserve judgment. You can't jump to conclusion. You have to wait and see how it all plays out. But Franco did not play in Sunday's game against the Cleveland Guardians. You know, and I don't expect him to play anytime soon. And I think the Rays have made the right decision here. You know, so being placed on the restricted list gives them a chance to let the investigation get completed. And then once you get more information and once we get down to the core issue of this whole thing, then we'll be able to see where the team goes from there. I think the significance of that decision, you know, was a wise move by the organization. Because look, even if you allowed him to continue to play, the pressure would have been on the team to actually sit him down. So, I mean, yeah, because you're going to have those people that's going to say, well, why is he playing? Because look, I hate to say it, but it is what it is. Franco's already guilty by association. I mean, he's guilty by public opinion, not by association, by public opinion. He's guilty by public opinion. Once allegations like this are pending against you, you instantly become guilty by public opinion.
Yeah. Whether and that is one bad thing about our society. And I'm not saying, and I'm not because, and like I said, what's going on with him is alleged. We don't know for sure. Sure, it's looking like it was a good possibility that it happened. But one thing that is I hate about our society with the social media era now is you're supposed to be innocent till proven guilty, and it's opposite, and that's not just in like a case like this, in anything. If anything comes across the internet, people form an opinion about you, whether it's true or not, and then it's hard, and if even if you're found that you didn't do what you were accused of, it's hard to get, like you just said, the public opinion back on your side, because people see something on the internet and boom, it's automatically true. Like that one commercial used to say, if it's on the internet, it has to be true. You know what I mean? If people as soon as they see something, they automatically believe it. So yeah, you're right. I mean, even if he ends up being found not guilty on this, it'll take him a while to convince the public that he's not guilty just because they saw it on the internet.
Right. But until further notice, we kind of have to sit back and reserve judgment. But man, this is crazy. This is a wild one here. This is one of those stories that makes you want to scream. It's one of those stories that makes you cringe, and it makes your stomach turn. It makes your stomach turn to hear something like this. This is one of those stories that you never want to hear. This is one of those stories that is very convoluted and complex, because now you have a story that has to do with law. So you need legal analysts to kind of come in and break down the details and talk about the legal side of this whole thing, because we're not lawyers. That's why you have legal analysts that can really break down the case, can really go into details about the case or what have you. What's the next move, what is to be expected in the coming days. So I mean, it's really a tough topic to get into. It's one of those topics that have a lot of people feeling uneasy and have a lot of people staring down on Franco now that more has come to light. And you're going to have those people now that will always label him as a sexual predator or someone who preys on young women or girls, for that matter.
Yep. No, I agree with that. But let's move on to a little something more positive. We can stick with baseball. Getting closer to September, so getting closer to only being about a month or so before we get into October baseball, which is always the most exciting baseball when you get into the playoffs. Got a lot of tight races going on. Also right now you got the Dodgers who were on a 10-game winning streak going into the ninth. Last time I saw the score, it was still 0-0. Haven't seen it here recently, but before we started, it was like I think about third, fourth inning, it was tie game still. So I ain't gonna lie, I am kind of rooting for your Dodgers tonight because they're playing against the Brewers, and I'd like to see them Brewers take another loss. I get the Reds only 2 games back of the Brewers. Reds start a big series tomorrow with the Blue Jays. You got a tight race there for the National League wild card with the Cubs, Reds, and Marlins. I think are all tied for that last wild card spot right now. And the Giants aren't very far behind there as well. So you got a pretty tight race for the National League wild card. The National League Central Division still, like I said, it's only a 2.5 game lead for the Brewers over the Cubs and the Reds, who are tied. So it's looking like this last month and a half of the baseball season is going to be pretty exciting to keep an eye on. And not even really mention the American League, but you got some good races going on over there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because I think we're going to have some different teams in the playoffs this year than maybe we're used to seeing.
Yeah, this is definitely the dog days of the baseball season. We are in August. We have some tight, tense races. It's a tight race in some of these divisions. And this is when baseball starts to heat up. It starts to get interesting. And you're going to see some unfamiliar teams in this year's postseason. And that's good for the game of baseball, right? Sometimes you get tired of seeing the same old teams. But a team that stands out to me right now, and a team that looks like they can win the World Series right about now, are the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves look like a World Series team to me. And if you're any team in baseball besides the Atlanta Braves, I can tell you that is a team you do not want to face. You do not want to face the Atlanta Braves. Why do I say that? Because, well, they're the hottest team in baseball right now. They're kicking ass right now in baseball. Atlanta, I think, will coast down the stretch. They just look really, really good. They are title ready. They just look like the best team in baseball. And then you got Matt Olson, man. He's a proven power hitter. He's making great contact. He's a big part of their offense. They have guys that's pitching really well. The Atlanta Braves, man, to me, are clearly favorites in the National League East. And then you look at the Dodgers, of course, what they're doing. They're starting to run away with things in the NL West. The Dodgers are comfortably in the NL West lead. With the Giants, I believe, sitting in second place. See, but the thing with the Giants were hanging around for a bit, but the Giants don't have the firepower and have a much tougher schedule than what the Dodgers do. So the Dodgers are looking to get ready for the postseason. The Padres, they don't really have a shot. They are clearly the biggest disappointment in that division, because a lot of people thought that the Padres would be the team going neck to neck with the Dodgers. It didn't turn out. They didn't turn out that way. It's the Dodgers and the Giants, but the Dodgers just have too many weapons. They have great power at the top of their lineup with Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. Freddie Freeman has been out of this world. And then you look at the Philadelphia Phillies. I think they're a wild card team. The Cubs, they can definitely be a wild card team. The Cubs have surprised many. I think the former Dodger, Cody Bellinger, has had a surprise year. Nobody thought he would be, hitting the ball as well as he's hitting it. I mean, he's been playing consistent baseball here of late, and the Cubs have surged into playoff contention with an 8-game winning streak in July and have remained hot offensively. And I think that trend should continue with a favorable schedule. 2 showdowns with the Central leading Brewers. And I just think the Cubs are another team to look out for. They're playing very, very good baseball right now.
Yeah, they are playing good. I'm gonna say they're not gonna make the playoffs, but that's also because I'm a Reds fan, and we're battling the Cubs with that last wild card spot, and still for the Central Division. And I think one thing that is helping the Reds got hot first month of the season. We didn't play well. Then we got hot, went that 12-game win streak. Really played some good baseball there the last month and a half before the All-Star break. Since the All-Star break, we haven't really got hot, but we've been hanging around close enough where like I said, we're only 2.5 games out of the division, and we're getting ready to get two of our starting pitchers back that going into the season. Most people believe we're going to be our number 1 and number 2 starters with Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo. Hunter Green's making his return off being injured, actually on making his first start back on Sunday, and Lodolo's getting ready to come back. So we get them 2 back, which we thought were going to be our 2 aces. You get them back and add them with Andrew Abbott, who's a rookie, who has been one of our aces so far, and then Ashcraft has been pitching real well. That could give us 4 real solid starters right there going into the last part of the season. So I think that could really be a resurgence that could help us by getting Green and Lodolo back. Our offense the last week or so seems they're starting to pick up, other than when our manager decides to sit everybody because he worries about matchups. But now Dela Cruz has cooled off some hitting the ball. But I mean, he's a rookie. That's going to happen. You're going to have some. You're going to go into a slump now. Pitchers throughout the league are going to make adjustments on you after they get more tape on you. So now you got to work at it and make adjustments. And right now he's swinging out a lot of bad pitches, but that's a rookie. I mean, that's a young guy. You're going to get that sometimes, but even when he's not hitting the ball, he can still add a lot by if he gets on base or defensively. He's real good defensively as well. So I look for him to get his back going better. But we have some other guys like Matt McClain and Spencer Steer that have been hitting the ball real well. TJ Friedel has been playing real well for us out in center field. So I think the Reds are going to have a shot to be there in the playoffs. I think the Cubs, I think it could end up that the Brewers could end up not making not being there, because I could see maybe either the Reds or Cubs coming away with that division, and the other one maybe battling the Brewers out for Brewers and maybe couple other teams out for that last wild card spot.
That would be disheartening because they have had the lead in the NL Central. That would be disheartening if that happens, but it's baseball, and anything can happen in baseball.
The Reds had the lead in the National League Central.
They did at first
a little bit as well.
Yeah, they did, and so it's been fluctuating. That
Brewers have been in first most of the season, but yeah, the Reds have been able to overtake first for a little bit.
Yeah, they overtook it, and then the Brewers overtook it, and now the Cubs are right there at the doorstep. But I really like the Cubs. They have been impressive, and Bellinger's insane July stats, showed that he was clearly the hottest player in baseball.
Oh no, yeah, Bellinger's been hot.
Yeah, he had been on a tear for the Cubs, and I mean it was just ridiculous. This dude has had a nice debut for the Cubs. He's been simply unstoppable with the Cubs, and I think he's been able to take his game to another level. Maybe he needed a change of scenery. I don't know. What's up, SG? What's up, SG Sports Talk? Thanks for watching.
What's up, SG?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for taking the time out of your night to check the show out. Yeah, the only team you don't have to worry about in the NL Central is the Pirates.
We're doing good tonight, SG. Hopefully you're doing well as well. But yeah, it's going to be fun, and like I said, the Miami Marlins are. I mean, they're right there battling for a wild card spot too. If their pitching can come together a little bit, they're going to be a team that's going to be battling right there with the Cubs and the Reds and then teams that we just mentioned for a wild card spot. Like I said, there's quite a bunch of there right in the National League that they're going to be battling for that last wild card spot.
Yeah, the Miami Marlins are right there too. Who's that guy? Stallings. He's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Josh Bell, the veteran, he's been pretty good.
He has been good.
I like their manager, Skip Schumacher, who used to play for the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, I like what this team is producing.
Oh, Josh Bell, he basically single-handedly beat the Reds in a game about a week ago. Hit a home run from each side of the plate.
Right.
That was basically all the runs the Marlins scored in that game. Reds led most of that game and ended up losing there at the end, and it was basically because of Bell.
Yeah, and I think you could say he fit in right, like he's fit right in really quick. And it hasn't taken him long to be one of the vocal leaders in that clubhouse. He's definitely been a vocal leader. Remember, Bell had a disappointing season too with the Cleveland Guardians, hitting just 11 home runs. I remember while putting up a 701 OPS. But in his 8 games with the Marlins, he has hit 3 home runs. So I think you could say that he has been a difference maker, and then he has that ability to be a switch hitter, which is a bonus for the Marlins as well. But that Marlins team, man, they look really, really nice. Yes, they got a bright future ahead of them too. I like Josh Chisenhome. I like the Marlins squad. I like the Marlins. The Marlins are nice.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I think they're pretty good as well. I just got to watch a pretty good view of them because we just got a series with them not too long ago with the Reds, so I got to see them play 3 nights in a row. But let's switch gears a little bit. Talk a little NFL. Got NFL regular season coming up. You had a preseason game tonight. You got a lot of practicing going on. Seems like we're getting quite a few injuries in these practices. I mean, came out. Will Levis is hurt now. Colts lost one of their wide receivers last night, Doolin, for the season with a torn ACL. I mean, there's been other guys. It seems like every day we're hearing about some injuries. I don't know if it's more than usual or not, but it's weird that we get as many injuries in these practices because you know how much precaution these teams take because they don't even play guys in preseason no more because they don't want guys to get hurt. So you know they don't practice as hard as they used to. They don't wear pads as much. They've cut a lot of that out to try to preserve some of these guys. But it seems like every year we still get a lot of guys hurt before the season ever starts.
Yeah, it could be a huge blow when a player suffers a season-altering injury it's never a good sign for any NFL team. And, that's the risk of, uh, playing a preseason game. I mean, that's the risk of playing any game, really, even during the regular season. All it takes is one bad hit or one devastating injury that can just have you sidelined for the rest of the season. I mean, we see it all the time. We see players rupture their ACLs where they are out for the year. We see players break their foot or suffer a gruesome injury where their ankle might turn the wrong way. We see these injuries, and I mean, that's part of the game. Injuries are going to happen.
It's part of the game. It just sucks to see him before. Yeah, it just sucks to see him before the regular season ever starts.
Right. It sucks to see those injuries occur in an exhibition game. I agree with you. It sucks.
Or even in practice.
Whole point of, right. Even in practice, yes, are a non-contact injury. You have some players that get hurt.
And those are usually the worst.
Yeah, those are usually the worst. A non-contact injury. So I mean, this kind of stuff transpires. It happens, and unfortunately, it's something that's out of your control. But preseason, and I'm okay with coaches deciding to sit their starters. Although I think a starter should get a little preseason action because you don't want them going into the regular season not game ready. You want them in shape. You want them to shake off some of the rust before the regular season start, which is why it's good for them to get loose, to be in fit, and to be ready to go for the season opener.
Yeah.
And, we know that players who sit out preseason are not as effective come the season opener. They're still trying to work out the kinks. They're still trying to get into a flow of things. They're still trying to get into that flow. They're still trying to, kind of rediscover themselves and get into a rhythm. And that's kind of hard to do if you don't play in a preseason game. You have to have at least some action in the preseason if you are to have any success early in the season, because usually players who don't play in a preseason game and who sit out of a preseason game, they don't start off the season. They don't start off the season on a good note.
Well, especially teams that don't play like none of their starters at all. And like I said, it's a fine line because you don't want to get guys hurt, but you want to try to build that chemistry, especially if you have a lot of young players or maybe a new quarterback or new coach coming in with a new system. Yeah, you can go through that stuff at practice, but it's not the same when you're going against the same guys every day. It's different when you're getting out there against a different squad and they're scheming against you. And we see it in a lot of these teams that don't play any of their starters at all in the regular season or the preseason. The first couple games of the regular season, a lot of times, we'll see quite a few games that are rough looking. A lot of mistakes, some penalties, some just teams not. And then maybe that you get through that first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, and it seems like we start seeing a lot more teams playing some better football. But like I said, it's harder because they're paying these guys so much money, so they're going to try to err on the side of caution and not getting people hurt. But like I said, there's a fine line there because you also want to get that chemistry built with your teammates and be ready to go that first week. So it's trying to find that mixture of both. And every team does it a little different. I mean, you see some teams, they don't play none of their starters. You see some teams play their starters a little bit. Some teams play their starters more than others. I mean, everybody has their own philosophy on it, but it's a fine line because you hate to see these guys get hurt and their season be ended before the season ever starts.
Yeah, you hate to see that.
But SG had a question here. He says thoughts on Ezekiel Elliott to the New England Patriots. I like the move by the Patriots, and they didn't. I know they probably needed a receiver. They weren't able to get the receiver that they was shooting for, but I think this is a good pickup for the Patriots. If you look at their team last year, they do have Stevenson, who's a good running back, but if you look at his numbers, he struggled in short yardage situations, especially in the red zone. And what is Ezekiel Elliott? One of Ezekiel Elliott's strengths, short yardage situations and in the red zone. I mean, you even saw with the Cowboys after Pollard kind of started taking that position over last year. Elliott's a good blocker. He's also good in the short yardage situations in the red zone. That's what the Cowboys was using them a little bit more as last year's with the emergence of Pollard. I think Elliott's going to have a good year with the Patriots, and maybe even have a little bit of a bounce back year and kind of show people that, yeah, I might not be the same guy I used to be, but I can still be a real effective player in this league. So I think it was a good pickup for the Patriots, especially after they kind of whiffed on trying to get one of the top wide receiver free agents that was out there.
I mean, you know what? Betting against the Patriots is never smart in the offseason because this is a team that usually makes great moves to strengthen their offense or whatever it may be. This is a team that knows how to draft really well. We've seen that in prior years with Bill Belichick and how he operates as a coach and someone who understands the game of football. This is a team who has a great eye for talent. And I think Ezekiel Elliott is a nice pickup. I think maybe he needed a change of scenery. Maybe he needs to go someplace else and try it with the New England Patriots. And I think he's going to be in a good position playing under a great coach in Bill Belichick. They needed a strong running back there. They needed a guy that can help boost that offense, and I think Ezekiel Elliott can. Now, I know Ezekiel Elliott hasn't, played up to his capabilities since he got that massive contract with the Dallas Cowboys. But you got to also keep this in mind, too. Not everyone can play for the Dallas Cowboys. With that star logo on the side of your helmet, it comes with a lot of pressure. And that kind of comes with the territory of being on the Dallas Cowboys, playing for a team that has a rich history, playing a part of a team that is a storied franchise. And some people just don't fit in with the Dallas Cowboys. And some people are never going to have success with the Dallas Cowboys. They have to find their success in other places. And maybe New England can be a fresh start for Ezekiel Elliott. And maybe he can do well there with the New England Patriots.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think he's going to have a good year there. Belichick in the past has been able to bring in some of these guys that have kind of looked like maybe they're starting to fall off a little bit with the other teams, and then they come to New England. He's able to get the best out of them again. So it's going to be interesting. But I think it was a good pickup for New England. I'm expecting Elliott to have a pretty good year. There was let's talk a little bit about these NFL divisions. You want to start where you want to? What division? Pick a division. What division you want to start in?
The AFC West.
What'd you say? AFC West?
Yeah.
That's an interesting division. What do you think how you think that division is going to shake out? You think the Chiefs are still going to be the team to beat in that division?
I think, hell yeah. The Chiefs are still the team to beat in that division. You could never bet against Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is clearly one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. If not the best quarterback in the NFL. They're fresh off of a Super Bowl title. And you look at Patrick Mahomes and what he can do to lead that offense, it's just incredible. Then you still have Andy Reid, who is a creative mind and knows how to run an offense, an excellent play caller. Uh, this team is still the team to beat. You know, and then you have Chris Jones, who is still a game wrecker in the trenches. So I mean, you got playmakers. You got not to mention you got Travis Kelce, arguably the best tight end in the NFL, and then right behind the Chiefs, I like the Los Angeles Chargers to maintain their momentum after reaching the postseason a year ago. Justin Herbert is clearly one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. He's going to have a great year, I think. The only thing that holds him back, and the only thing that would delay his process is guys like Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley. I just think that Justin Herbert has a bad coaching staff behind him. I don't think Brandon Staley is cut out to be an NFL coach. And the Kellen Moore hire to me was baffling because Kellen Moore, with him taking over the duties as an offensive coordinator and a play caller, to me, sets this team up for failure because sometimes he makes some boneheaded decisions and he makes some questionable calls that just leave you wondering, like, dude, what the hell are you doing? What are you thinking? But I do expect this offense to be better than it was a year ago. I think the scoring offense will improve. No doubt about it, because you got a guy like Justin Herbert and you got a lot of great weapons at your disposal. You got a wide array of playmakers out there that can make things happen. So I definitely like the Chargers. Another team to keep an eye out on in the AFC West would be, of course, the Denver Broncos. Now, I know last year's disaster was one of those disasters that you completely want to put behind you. Like, you just want to forget all about that. Now it's a fresh start. Sean Payton's your head coach with Russell Wilson looking to have a bounce-back season. So now you're betting on a reinforced offensive line to help this veteran quarterback. Hopefully they could turn this dead last scoring offense around, because we all know how creative Sean Payton can be. I actually like Sean Payton. I think he's a really good guy. I think he's enthusiastic. I think he does a great job to put his players in the best position to excel. And I think that's what he will do with Russell Wilson. So I think Russell Wilson will have a bounce back year. So yes, the Denver Broncos is definitely another team to keep an eye out for in the AFC West.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to be the team to beat in this division again. I mean, they got pretty much close to most of their team back from last year, which that won the Super Bowl. So they're going to be fired up because they really want to try to repeat. I do like the Chargers probably right there as the second team in there, but I do disagree with you a little bit. I like the Kellen Moore pickup just because I didn't like their offensive coordinator before at all. Now I'm not a big fan of Staley. He hasn't showed as a head coach that he always has control of the team and makes the best decisions for the team. He gets a little too aggressive at times, on going for it on fourth down, or not using timeouts when you should, using timeouts when you shouldn't, and some of the other stuff. But I think Kellen Moore can help Herbert. Because, I mean, if you think about it, yeah, Kellen Moore, I agree, can do some bonehead things. But if you also look, the Cowboys with Kellen Moore there was years where they had the top ranked offenses in the NFL. with the quarterback with Dak Prescott as a quarterback. I think Herbert's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. I know he's younger, but I think he has a higher ceiling than what Dak Prescott has. So I think Kellen Moore could go in there and help Justin Herbert. I'm not a big fan of Staley. The Broncos are a team to me. They're hard to read because how much of last year's failures with the Broncos was on Nathaniel Hackett, and how much of it was on Russell Wilson. And I think we're going to find that out pretty quick once the season starts. Now that you have Peyton over there, because if Russell Wilson can't have success with Sean Payton, I think it's time. I think it's going to kind of lay it out that Hackett was a problem, but Russell Wilson was also a big part of the problem as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if Russell Wilson can kind of get his career turned around and kind of get people back on his side after that season he had last year, and then with some of the reports that came out with some of the stuff that he was doing and some of the stuff that was going on there in Denver. So that's going to be interesting. The Raiders, they're the Raiders.
Yeah,
I don't trust Josh McDaniels as a head coach.
I don't either.
He's had a lot of success in this league as a offensive coordinator, but he was also with one of the best quarterbacks that's ever played the game with Tom Brady.
He's a poor excuse of a head coach.
But since he's been a head coach, he didn't do good in Denver his first time. Last year, it didn't look good with the Raiders. You end up benching your starter in Carr that was the best option they had. Carr had played some good football there for the Raiders up until you get McDaniels. I think Carr's going to have a big bounce back year this year with the Saints. I think the Saints are going to be a tough team, which we'll talk more about them later on when we get to their division. But so I'm not expecting a whole lot out of the Raiders really this season. But excuse me. So I think it's going to come down to Chiefs and Chargers in the AFC West. I think the Chiefs are going to win that division, but if the Chargers defense can step up, and then the Chargers receivers stay healthy, that's going to be some interesting games between the Chargers and Chiefs, because when the Chargers were healthy at the beginning of the season before Herbert had that rib injury in that game against the Chiefs, they were playing right there with the Chiefs. So, and then after that rib injury, the Chargers season kind of went the other direction. So it's going to be, if they can stay healthy, I think they might be able to compete a little bit for that division, but I still think the Chiefs are going to come out on top.
Yeah, me too. I think the Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC West. Now let's move on to the next division. Let's move on. Let's talk about the AFC North.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one. So let's get that. Let's try to knock this one out of the way.
That's a tough one because you have the Bengals, who I would say have to be the favorite.
They're the clear-cut favorite.
But then you have the Ravens, who new offensive coordinator. You have Lamar back. Hopefully he can stay healthy. He got his contract, so he should be motivated and happy and ready to play. I think the big thing with them is how does Lamar look in a more pass-oriented offense, because I think they are going to try to throw the ball a little bit more. And can he stay healthy? If Lamar can stay healthy, I think he's going to have a real good year. And I think the Ravens will be right there. But then you have two other teams where it's hard to put where they're at. The Steelers have a good defense. I think their offense is going to be better than last year. But how big of a step is Kenny Pickett going to take from last year to this year? He's one of them guys. Yeah, he didn't have a great year last year, but if you watched him, he really progressed as the season went on and was really playing a lot better football the second half of the season. And you got Mike Tomlin over there as the coach of the Steelers, never had a losing season, always has that team ready to play no matter how their season's going and who they're playing and maybe how they match up talent-wise. I think the big thing with them is what's the progression of Kenny Pickett. And then you have the Browns, who's just hard because they have a lot of talent on that team. But is Deshaun Watson going to look which guy is he going to look like this year? Is he going to look more like the guy we saw in Houston before the injury and before all the other issues he had? Or is he going to look like the guy that came back after sitting out a season and a half? I think he's going to be better this year than he was last year. It just, to me, with the Browns, it depends on how big of a jump he makes from last year. If he's closer back to what we know Deshaun Watson, what kind of football he can play, the Browns could be a dangerous team. But if Joe Burrow's healthy and with the weapons the Bengals have and that defense they have, I don't see nobody dethroning them out of the North. But I think you could have an interesting battle to see who's going to be the second place team in that division.
To me, it's going to come down to the Bengals and the Ravens. Look, Joe Burrow has led his team to 2 consecutive AFC championships. And then you have the trio of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. I mean, that is an explosive mix. Few can slow down. Like those 3 right there are going to be a handful for a lot of defenses. They can create a lot of problems. And I like Burrow's ability to stretch the field with his arm strength, his great awareness, and his ability to elude pressure. He's very elusiveness. He's a great quarterback. So I think the Bengals are definitely the favorites to win the AFC North. And then, of course, you got the Baltimore Ravens, who should always be considered a threat in the AFC North. And excuse me, by the way, I said the NFC North. I mean the AFC North. But the biggest question is Lamar Jackson and his ability to stay healthy. We know that for the last 2 seasons now, he has not been healthy late in the season. That's been a huge problem for the Baltimore Ravens. But we can expect the Ravens to have a potent offense with Odell Beckham Jr., Zay Flowers, and then you add in Mark Andrews, of course, one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and Rashad Bateman as well. I think Baltimore can have a top 10 defense for the 7th time in the past 8 seasons. So, I mean, watch out for the Baltimore Ravens. They're really going to be a team that can cause a lot of havoc as well. So I like those 2 teams. I also like the Steelers. I think they will get back to winning football games at a consistent level. You got to remember the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are never terrible under Mike Tomlin with 0 losing seasons in 16 years. Kenny Pickett is entering his 2nd season. So let's see if he, like you said moments ago, can take that next step. You got Harris and you got George Pickett. This group is extremely unpredictable, but I think we can expect the Steelers to be a better team than what they were a year ago. I don't think this team is going to be a bad team. I think Pickett has the potential to be great. There's some people who don't necessarily believe in him. But, I mean, it's really hard to see this team catapulting past the Bengals or the Ravens. But the Steelers will be an interesting team as well.
No, I agree.
And I think when you have the Bengals and the Ravens, that would leave the Steelers in last place almost by default.
So you think the Steelers will be behind the Browns?
I think there's a possibility because they got a young team, they got a young quarterback, they got a quarterback who is still learning. Like I said,
the Browns could be really good.
The Browns can be really, really good.
It all depends. It all depends on how Deshaun Watson looks because I mean you have Nick Chubb. I mean they have talent on that team.
You have a great wide receiver combo too.
But Deshaun Watson's going to have to look more like the guy that he looked like before he set out a year and a half. And that's the thing. Like, can he get back to that? I think he can.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting to see. Like I said, I could see. I mean, if Deshaun Watson is playing up to the level that I think he could play at, uh, and depending on if Lamar Jackson stays healthy, I mean, I could see a scenario where the Browns could be battling with the Ravens for that number 2 spot. I think the Ravens are going to be in the number 2 spot. I really do. I think the Ravens are going to have a big year this year. I think Lamar Jackson is going to look more rejuvenated, going to look better in this new offensive system. Uh, so I really do think the Ravens. Actually, I think the Ravens. I agree with you. Are going to compete with Cincinnati for that division. I think Cincinnati wins the division, but I think the Ravens are going to be right there. But I could also see with the talent that the Browns have, if they can put it together, and Deshaun Watson is playing at a high level, where the Browns could be battling right there, maybe for that second spot in that division. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. And we just have to wait and see. But yeah, all those teams can very much so be in contention because they're all talented in their own right. But we just have to wait and see. But I do think the Steelers could possibly finish last by
Yeah,
almost by default.
they,
Almost by default.
they could finish last. They could
Yeah,
finish last, or they could finish maybe second or third, depending on how big of a jump pick it takes,
yeah.
because of that defense the Steelers has. So as
Oh
well.
yeah.
So it's going.
Well, see, the
And Mike,
Steelers
and
have
like I
always
said,
been built on
yeah,
defense.
and you can't count Mike. You can't count a Mike Tomlin coach team out as well. So it's going to be fun. I say let's stop there on the NFL predictions. Let's do the 2 divisions tonight, and then we'll do the other AFC divisions on Monday, or not
Sounds
Monday,
good.
on Tuesday, and then
Tuesday, yeah.
we'll start the NFC on Thursday, and that'll finish the division or division predictions up kind of like right before the regular season starts.
Yeah, we can do that because my allergies are kicking my butt right now.
But well, was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we get out of here for tonight and in this the second episode of Gonzo and the Judge being back?
Man, and it was another great episode. Smashing success. Gonzo, it's always fun to be on with you. It's always great to do this show. I'm glad we're back in full force. I'm glad Gonzo and the Judge Sports Talk has been revived. And you guys can also find this show live streaming from various platforms. You guys can find this show on Gonzo Sports Room. You guys can find this show on my Facebook, the Sports Judge page. And you guys can find this on both of our YouTube channels as well. And if you guys haven't subscribed to our YouTube channels, do us a huge favor and give us another subscriber. Will you? Hit the subscribe button.
Oh yeah, we greatly appreciate it. Also make sure you check out the ASAP All Sports All Plays Network. We're also on their Facebook and their YouTube as well. So I know all three of us would really appreciate the like, shares, comments, any support that you guys are willing to give us. We all very much appreciate. You can also find the ASAP All Sports All Plays app at the Apple Store, Google Play Store, Roku, Amazon, and you can watch any of this great content on All Sports All Plays Network, basically on demand on the All Sports All Plays Network app as well. Including Gonzo and the Judge. So make sure you check that out as well. But no, we appreciate everybody watching. This has been our first week back together doing this show. We will see you guys on Tuesday, 11 p.m. Eastern with another episode. We'll finish our division predictions for the rest of the AFC, and then on Thursday we'll start jumping into the NFC. Sure, there'll be some more baseball talk because you'll have a whole weekend of baseball going on, and we'll have a whole new. You might have could have some new division leaders. The whole playoff race could look a lot different by then. A lot can happen in 3 or 4 days in baseball with every team playing almost every day. But other than that, I hope everybody has enjoyed your night. I know out here where I'm at, it's it's 12:30 in the morning, getting almost close to 1. I know they're on the West Coast. It's still not real late. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you guys Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Eastern, with another episode of Gonzo and the Judge Sports Talk. Hope everybody has a great night. See you guys later.
Peace. Check it out.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.